Yo, what is good, everyone? In this video, I'm going to show you the entire B2C webinar framework, and this will be the only video that you need to run your own webinar. Now, the reason why you see all the red lines and all this messy Miro board is because I've already recorded this once, and guess what? I didn't record it. So here we go again, take number 2. It was a 30-minute video, but what I'm not going to do for y'all, right? I'm going to give y'all the sauce. So let's hop straight into it. So first things first, these first 2 or 5 minutes, you want to greet everyone and you want to show your enthusiasm. You want to mention how you respect their time. You want to hype up the room. So, play some music, really get people excited. If you start boring, no one's going to stay. And this is really important. You got to set the tone of, how the webinar is going to go and get them just super, super excited. Interact with the chat. You've probably seen this before, where are y'all coming from? And then you just, call it out. Miami, Portugal, China, Vietnam. Now, important note here, depending on whether you're running cold only or, organic webinars, you want to either get directly to the point, meaning, you do a little bit of less of this. If you're running too cold, people don't care about you that much. They don't know you, and they're gonna let you walk away with a lot less. So with cold audiences, you want to get straight to the point. Ideally, if your webinar is 7 p.m., start 7:02. Obviously get them a little bit of time to join, but don't go for too long. With organic, you can go for a little longer, wait for people longer because again, they know you, they like you, they probably care about you more, so they are gonna stay for that, and they won't have a problem. But again, cold, they're much colder, so they're not gonna let you slide with that. So get straight to the point. Some people are just gonna come late and they're gonna miss a little bit of the intro, but it's a much better play than to lose some people because they're waiting and they don't want to wait. So after this quick intro, you want to show them exactly what's about to come. You want to outline the upcoming 60 to 90 minutes. And you also want to open up some loops here, meaning, you want to literally tease them on what's about to come. You can even show them snippets of the slides that are about to come. Next up, excite them about the big payoff. So you can also tease them with a free resource or, the lead magnet. For those of you that have been watching my videos, you know what I'm talking about. And then you go into your personal story and your background. So the goal here is number 1, to relate to their journey. So, show them exactly your come up, how, what your struggles were, what your obstacles were, exactly how you went from, 0 to wherever you are right now. And ideally, you want to really mirror your audience's issues, right? So pretty much you want to tell them, I've had the exact same problems as you. I was going through the exact same thing as you. And, you want them to relate and be like, oh, this guy's actually, a normal dude. He went through the same stuff as me. So that's amazing. I want to learn from him, right? And yeah, you want to show them that, you weren't special. And after that, you want to establish your expertise, right? So here, if you've been in interactions with any celebrity, you can mention that. People love celebrities, and, if you have some type of interaction with one, it'll give you a lot of credibility. And, in people's eyes, they're just going to be like, wow, this guy, met a celebrity. He's got to be very cool to do that, right? Next up, all your achievements, your results, your big wins, and even, media features. If you've been somewhere, people really trust that. And, again, you'll get bonus points in their eyes. Next up, emphasize your proven track record, solving exactly what they're struggling with. And then you get into identifying pain points and limiting beliefs. So here you want to go over the common obstacles and pain points that, your audience have, and also address some limiting beliefs. So, could be lack of time, lack of upfront capital, fear of failure, confusion from info overload. So pretty much you just want them to realize what pain points they have, right? And you want to make them feel seen. So you want to let them know that, I know that you have these problems. I've had them too. Many people have them, but, on this webinar, we're going to solve all these. And, an example of a limiting belief that you could overcome here could be, maybe you've been taught by the education system that, this, but, what I've learned is you got to actually do this, and that's what I did, and that's, you know, how I was able to get XYZ result. And then you can get into results of inaction, you know, missed opportunities, continued stress, stagnant or declining finances. Use clear and relatable examples, so, you know, again, they feel understood, they feel seen. And after this, after you paint the, you know, the enemy, you then articulate the core promise. So here's where you go into the, you know, epiphany moment, the moment where, you know, everything changed for you, where you went from this, you know, all these pain points to, you know, your desired reality, because of this one, you know, one thing that happened. And here's where you start shifting to possibility. So here you want to paint a vivid picture of the life / result that they can achieve by following your framework. So for example, Shelby Saab, what she does here in this part, she literally tells you to close your eyes, and then she goes into, you know, the entire day. You wake up, you look on your white marble walls, you know, you turn around, you see the face of your husband, then you smell the smell of coffee. You know, she just very, very vividly paints the picture of the life that you want, and you want them to understand that, you know, this is gonna be possible after they, you know, see exactly what you're about to teach them, the framework, right? Now, the thing here is you want to link this result to, you know, your own journey. So meaning, you know, show how you reach these results yourself, and even more importantly, link it to your client's journey. So how, you know, this framework not only worked for you, not only gave you this life that they want, but it also gave this life to your students, right? And you want to go through a couple of people here. And after that, you can transition beautifully into, you know, that's exactly what we're covering today. The exact system that helped me get XYZ result, that get my clients XYZ result, that gets, you know, you this result that you want, that you just pictured in your head, you know, faster, without mistakes, without guesswork, all that good stuff, right? And one quick note here, just, you know, keep the promise realistic, right? You know, obviously you want him to feel emotions, but you don't want to overhype it up. And, you know, people are way more sophisticated now. So, you know, don't tell them that they're going to make 100K a month their first month in business, right? So after you're done with the introduction, we get into the actual sauce, the actual value, right? Here you want to aim for around 30 to 45 minutes. Again, it's going to be very dependent on, you know, your specific webinar, but if you're running the first one, this is a good number to look at. So here you pretty much want to walk them through, you know, your 3 or 4 or 5 core steps to, you know, get whatever result, whatever desired reality that they want. And here you just want to, you know, emphasize your secret sauce, you know, your unique mechanism, and tell them why your method is the best and why it works the best. Now, here's the framework that you want to follow with each of those steps. You want to start with what it is, why it matters, and then you want to show them proof. So, you know, those 3 or 4 pillars or core points could be, you know, 3 shifts that allowed me to reach XYZ goal, 3 secrets to, you know, achieve XYZ, my 4-step method to, you know, get XYZ. Now, for example, if I was to run a webinar on how to run webinars, my 3 core pillars could be, you know, funnel backend. Here's where I would show you what softwares you need and how exactly the funnel should look like. And then I would tell you, you know, why it matters. Obviously, that's how you get the traffic in, that's how you make money, right? And then for the proof, I could show, you know, the funnel metrics, what you should be looking at, and how, you know, how I've ran it in the past with people and the results that we got. Step number 2 could be, you know, the actual webinar presentation. So pretty much what I'm walking you through now and why it matters. Obviously, that's how you convert all the traffic that you got from your funnel backend. And, you know, as proof, again, I could show conversion rates and, you know, our Stripe dashboards, our WOP dashboards, you know, how much cash collected we've done thanks to those presentations, those frameworks, right? And, you know, number 3 could be best practices. So, you know, specific things that I've implemented with my own clients, and how after applying all these as proof, I would show them how, you know, our metrics got better and how we've increased our revenue. And for example, if you are running, you know, let's say a high ticket sales offer, your step number 1 could be probably outreach, right? That's the first step. You tell them what it is, why it matters. Obviously, that's how you get roles, that's how you make money, right? And as proof, you could tell them this, you know, what I just walk you through, this outreach method got, you know, name client 1, client 2, client 3, and, you know, allowed him to make 10K a month. So that's how you want to give out the sauce. Now, the goal here is to really make it so valuable that they'll literally be on their knees. Now, I actually mean this, right? You want people to be like, holy shit, this guy just gave me so much sauce. I absolutely love him, right? That's how you want them to feel. And yes, obviously, the goal is to share enough so they trust you that you know your stuff, but still keeping some pain points and just keeping some of the implementation stuff, obviously for your paid program. Right now, I'm gonna get to that when we get to the transitioning to the offer. But again, you want to give them a lot of sauce, right? That's the point. You want to give them a lot of sauce, and you want to let them know that whatever your mechanism is works and it's easy. That's important, right? You want to have them believe that they can actually do this. Now, one more quick tip, don't just make it a lecture. Don't just talk for 40 minutes straight. Have some interaction, ask questions, right? Make it interactive so you can ask questions like, does this make sense? Do you think you can do this? Are you ready for the next one? Are you enjoying so far? All these questions, make it interactive. Now, one more note with the chat. Some people like to mute the chat for, the presentation. I would say it is beneficial to, some audiences. For example, if you've seen Brez's webinar, he has a very brain rot audience, right? People were doing a bunch of random stuff in the chat. So I do think it would be, very beneficial for him to mute the chat. But, if you have normal audience, they're not spamming stupid stuff. I would keep it on. People like it, but again, sometimes it can get distracting. So, see for yourself and make a decision after you see, how your audience is actually with the chat. But yeah, if you do decide to turn it off, you can turn it always, you can have a moderator to always turn it on when, you're doing these interactive sections. So that's for the value. Now we get into the transitioning to the pitch and, how to naturally transition from teaching to selling. Let me just get rid of this real quick. So we start with a clean sheet. All right. So after the value, you want to get into success stories and case studies. So very important here, diverse profiles, right? You want to cover more profiles, right? Different demographics, different experiences. Basically what you want to do here is, really introduce a bunch of profiles, young people, professionals, retirees, busy parents. If you had a 16-year-old that got crazy results, mention him. If you had a, 60-year-old lady, mention her. People are going to see this, they're going to be like, damn, these people were, able to get results. This probably worked. And the best part is the more demographics you cover, the more people get to actually relate to the one closest to them, right? See themselves in that specific profile, and they're going to be much more likely to purchase at the end because, they literally see someone exactly like them get the same transformation that they want. So, why wouldn't they? If there's someone who's, so close to them. This doesn't have to be with just age and profession, right? This could be even, with experience, without experience, with finances, without finances. So an example could be, someone who got a crazy result with Airbnbs, but you can say, well, yeah, some of you might say, that he had finances, right? He had big budget to work with. But, I've had Name who started with $2,000 and now he's making 20K a month, right? Pretty much you just want to, show a big variety of people that actually got results with your framework. Next up, you want to address skepticism. So you can weave in lines like, I know you might wonder if this works for complete beginners, but, here's a success story from Name who started with literally no experience. And, if you do have data from your sales calls, if you have proper market research, you know exactly what, questions, what people are worried about. So just handle all these. Maybe it's, if it's, for example, an Airbnb offer, it could be if it works in my country. So, all these questions, just address them with your case studies. Next up, show before and after. So show exactly how their life was before, how their life was after, right? The results that they got. And then you also want to show them quick wins. So people love getting results fast. So if you had someone who, got the result literally in a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, show him. Again, people love fast results. Next up, show quantifiable results. So really use real numbers. So, income, dashboards, exact weight loss, literally show a picture of, someone standing on the weight and, before and after, hours saved, ROI, Facebook dashboards. Concrete data builds credibility, right? Don't just tell, show, right? Showing is much more important. So show the dashboards, show the real numbers. People just love that. And, really just let authenticity and real stories speak for themselves. So I think I've mentioned this a couple of times already, but, at the end of the day, testimonials really do sell the best. And if you have really good results, you can literally just, you don't even have to overcomplicate it that much. Testimonials really are just gonna speak for themselves. So after you've shown that your framework works, you wanna get into summarizing the key learnings. So here, you just recap the 3 or 5 pillars or key points that you just taught. And one of the goals here is to, make them feel the reciprocity. So again, you wanna have them think like, holy, this guy just gave me sauce. I love him, right? This is literally what you want them to feel like. And then right after this, you start creating the gap and inviting them for the bridge. So what I mean by this is here is where, they all the way here at the top of the mountain, right? They feel amazing. They feel great. You want to pull them back to reality and start introducing the gap, right? So, this is where you start with, okay, you've learned all this, this is all amazing, but it actually goes much deeper. And the unfortunate truth is most of you are not gonna, get there because X, Y, and Z. You just want to introduce all the problems that, they are gonna face and why they won't get the result without your product. So examples could be, you'll fool yourself into thinking that, other business models are better. What if you lose motivation? What if you get confused? What if you need to ask a question? What if you get stuck? All of these problems create the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And this is your chance to, naturally bridge that gap with your product, right? With your solution. So this is how you naturally transition from teaching to selling, by creating that gap where, even though they've learned all this, there's much more to it, right? There's much more that they need to actually get to whatever they want to be. And, the bridge is going to be your offer. So this is where you say, that's exactly why I created, XYZ. And I've even seen some people say, this is what I wish I had when, I lost 20K, when I lost 20 years of my life. This is, what I really wished I had back then. Now that you've created this gap and you have the bridge as well, it's time to actually close them. So this is how you want to do it. Let me just clear this up again. This is how we want to do it, right? After we've created the bridge, you want to introduce your offer. So, you say introducing, whatever your name is, give your unique mechanism a name, give your product a name, right? Brand it and reassert the big promise it fulfills. So after you introduce the offer, you want to tell them exactly what is included. So you want to break down each major component. Now, how I like to do it is I usually start with the core curriculum, detailed video modules, video lessons. This is usually the course, and then getting into the support level. So, one-on-one calls, group calls, community, maybe you have a private chat, Telegram chat, WhatsApp chat, additional resources. So whatever templates you have, scripts you have, vendors, supplier lists, done for you docs, dialing scripts, whatever additional resources you have, you want to let them know. And the way I like to introduce all of these is you first introduce a problem and then the solution, right? So let's say, for example, we start with the course modules, right? You give them the A to Z blueprint, all that good stuff. But, what if you get stuck? Again, what if you have questions? What if you wake up one day and you just don't feel like doing anything, right? That's why we have, our inner circle in place where, you'll be assigned a accountability partner. That's pretty much how you want to do it, right? You want to introduce a problem, again, another gap, and then you want to bridge that gap with a solution. And the solution is going to be, a component of your program. Now that they know exactly what they are getting, you want to give them the first CTA. So whether that's, to book a call or a direct to checkout, this, depends on your ticket price. If it's a higher ticket, do book call. If it's something like 1K, 2K, do a direct checkout. Now, after the first chance for them to buy, you want to introduce the bonuses. Now, with the bonuses, you want to make sure that they are, number one, super valuable. Like really, sometimes it really is one bonus that pushes someone over the fence. So really make sure they are valuable. Make sure it's actually something that they really want and it solves a problem or handles an objection that they might have. And number two, you want to make sure it is time limited. So really make it exclusive. Put some scarcity urgency on it, whether it's only available on this webinar, or it could be that it's only available for the first 20 people. Whatever way you want to do, make sure it is time limited. And then you want to have a guarantee / risk reversal. So the way I like to do it is, a complete money back guarantee as long as you do, X, Y, and Z. I feel like that is the best way because it not only protects you, but it also protects the consumer as well. Because really the reality is, most people that actually go through the program, there's no way they won't get the result, right? It's usually people that don't actually do it that are trying to charge back or try to get refunds, right? And with this guarantee, it really protects you. Actually, like it really does protect you, and it also gives the security to the person, right? So I really think this is a win-win guarantee, and it's my favorite type because again, the reality is, most of programs do work, right? All the modules work. It's really just people not doing what they actually need to do. So yeah, again, this is my favorite way to actually guarantee, and it's been working very well. Now, next up, you want to emphasize your confidence in your method's capacity to deliver, again, while remaining, realistic and ethical. And next up, you want to address common questions up front. So you can have a little, FAQ section. Now, how do you know which questions to do? Again, if you have sales call recordings, if you have proper market research data, you know exactly what these questions are. So, it could be, again, what if I don't have enough time? What if I'm not tech savvy yet? Can this really work for me if I'm new? Will this work for me if I'm in, XYZ country? Will this work for me if I, whatever? You know what these questions are. Just ask them, make sure to address all of them. And then you want to give them another CTA, bonuses are gonna expire soon. You can add limited seats as well. If it's a more one-on-one program, you definitely want to add some scarcity, and you obviously want to encourage them for immediate action to avoid cost of inaction, right? And lastly, you want to do live Q&A. Now there's a bunch of reasons, I really encourage you to do a live Q&A. There's a couple of reasons for it. Number one, it's literally the equivalent to objection handling on, sales call. You will get a lot of people over the line by addressing, their specific concerns that they have. Now, the good thing is, chances are when one person asks you some question, chances are a bunch of other people have the same exact question, right? So by literally just answering one question, you'll probably get a bunch of people over the fence. And also you get literally free market research, right? So you'll get to see exactly which questions and which objections you haven't handled in your webinar yet. And you can take all that and upgrade your webinar for the next one where you are going to handle that, and you can always do better by literally getting real-time feedback in the Q&A while also getting people over the fence and getting more sales, right? So again, I always encourage to do live Q&A. And one more reason why you should do it is you literally get to show your expertise live, right? People really do love interacting with you, with the creator, right? They get actually really excited to be able to talk to you. And this is where it changes more from just a lecture to an actual interaction where you build a little more trust, you build up a little more of a relationship. And again, people just really love that type of interaction. So encourage attendees to type questions in the chat. Keep answers concise, relevant, and beneficial to broader audience. And whenever possible, tie it back to the main offer, drop some CTAs here and there, and tie it to success story. Now, after all that, you want to give them the last CTA. So you reiterate, the main promise, the urgency, and the next step. You express gratitude. So you thank them for their time, their attention, and them being open. And you close it off with, I'll see many of you inside the program or, on calls, and I cannot wait to guide you. And boom, that's it. By now, you should have, your calendar absolutely filled with super qualified calls. Or, if you've done a direct checkout, you should be very, very rich if you followed all this. So that's the B2C webinar framework. I hope you guys got some insane sauce out of this video. I'm gonna be honest, recording this for the second time was really painful. I'm super tired, but I still hope you guys got some sauce out of this. If you did, I hope I got some reciprocity from you. Feel free to drop a like, drop a subscribe, and if you do have any questions, feel free to DM me. And also, I have a Telegram channel where I'm literally just dropping sauce, my SOPs, my documents. So you can join that as well if you want. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.